Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Happy Valentine, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We also open 888 number, and that's 888 Car Clinic. A little easier for you to remember. That's 888-227-2546. How's your car doing? Well, if you have a question or you need help, I'm your man. Just consider me your personal car consultant, at least for the next hour. And also remember that for every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you through your local AM and or FM stations right there in your own neck of the woods. And if you're in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Surf, S-U-R-F, Surf, 1710 AM, Outer Banks, North Carolina. Joe Hartman, General Manager and Program Director. Let us hear from you at 888-227-2546. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by General Tire and the G-Max AS03. The ultra-high-performance all-season tire. Visit GeneralTire.com for all the details. Also, I'm proud to say this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic brought to you by Royal Purple, my choice for synthetic lubricants and synthetic oils. Royal Flush, that's a brand new product that Royal Purple has surfaced with. You should try it, followed by Purple Ice for your cooling system, Max Clean, and HMX. I'll tell you about HMX when I come back, and I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction, brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or friction? Additive packages are key in synthetic oil quality. Fact: of a quart of synthetic oil, 15 to 25% is its total additive package, including anti-wear agents, detergents, dispersants, and antioxidants. An oil's additive package does the heavy lifting, and ultimately its lubrication factor, friction and heat reduction, and ability to rev up performance are measures of an additive package's quality. Royal Purple's proprietary Cinelec technology was developed over years of rigorous testing and real-world use. Fact is, Royal Purple solved a vibration problem with the China Star 125-mile-per-hour bullet train. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple High-Performance Motor Oil. Visit RoyalPurple.com for all the Royal Purple advantages, then pick up Royal Purple today at Pep Boys. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Vehicle Maintenance Spotlight, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Midlife crisis and gas crisis may not be preventable, but you can avoid the crisis caused by a dead battery. Drop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for a free battery check by an O'Reilly Auto Parts Pro. If you need a new battery, pick up a reliable, hard-working Superstart battery that's an exact fit for your vehicle. To make sure your battery's ready to go when you are, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly. Eventually it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Superstart battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Geico Auto Insurance customers are frugal people. They value a dollar, and they save a lot of them by switching. To prove my point, I'm joined by a real live customer, Erica Willis. Erica, will you give me $10,000?
No.
There. Proof that Geico customers do not like to part with any more money than they have to. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. You could keep 15% or more of your money. 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
Home. It's the place you like to make warm and inviting. What could be more welcoming than the aroma of fresh coffee brewing? When the coffee is Starbucks, the experience only gets richer. You'll find Starbucks coffee at your grocery store, so you can enjoy it at home. Its distinctive roasting style and rich, authentic taste show how seriously we pursue the art of coffee. Savor its aroma, then pour a cup and invite your senses to take flight. Starbucks coffee at your grocery store.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. As I said in the open, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that today is a great day for you. And yes, I do have red. I'm wearing red today, and to celebrate happy Valentine's to my wife and my daughters and to everyone out there who have a loved one. And speaking of loved one, there's an interesting case here for midlife crisis cars. I think it's very interesting. I'll share that with you a little later in the program. But first, out of a courtesy, I want to take Ken's call. He was first up, and I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. And then after I speak with Ken, I'm going to share with you why we are upgrading our service facility to HMX high mileage oil for all of our customers that fit in that group. But first, Ken in New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Thank you. I have a 2005 Honda Accord that I changed. I replaced the drums and the rear brakes.
Okay.
And my car developed a clicking sound when I'm slowing to stop. I even took it to a service station, and they could find nothing wrong. And I'm wondering if maybe you have a cure for this problem.
Well, are you telling me that you're hearing the clicking coming from the rear brakes, Ken? Or you
Yes.
think? Here's what I'd like for you to do, and you can do this on a back street without traffic. Drive the vehicle about 8 to 10 miles per hour. I mean, it's just sort of like house hunting. You're going 5, 6, 8, 10 miles per hour. The parking brake of that vehicle, is it a pedal that you push and then release with a T-handle, or is it a handle that you pull up?
It's a handle you pull up.
Okay, and so you could, if I instructed you to do so, you could use that to slow the car, and you could hold your finger on the release knob so you could use it and release it at will. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've done that, and it still makes the clicking.
Okay. Well, then, good. And you did that independently of the brake pedal. You used just the parking brake lever to apply the rear brakes, and you got the clicking whenever you did.
Yes.
Well, how did you know to do that?
Well, I know a little bit about cars, so I thought I'd give that a shot.
Well, let me tell you something, folks. That's and Ken, that's some really good diagnostics. And we just yours truly, I've known that for a long time, obviously being in the business for a long time. But just recently, we had a van in the shop that had a slight vibration in it, a slight pulsation. And when we checked the run out of the front rotors. And sure enough, the left one was all but perfect, 1.5 thousandths, and the other one had 4.5 thousandths. So we machined it, and we looked at the rear brakes. They looked great. Put it all back together. It was worse than ever. And ultimately, I did the same thing that you did by using the park brake to slow the vehicle. And it was so violent that it would actually, it would chirp the tires at 2 miles per hour. So having said that, I have to believe that the hardware that locates your rear brake shoes is either weak or incorrectly installed.
Okay. Well, I did reuse the same hardware.
Well,
and as I told you, I took it to the service station,
right,
and they said that everything looked good.
Doesn't matter. You got a noise. I got
a noise.
Yeah, really. I mean, it looks good. I mean, it's like walking into a doctor's office and you feel really bad. Oh, you look great today. Well, I feel lousy. So your brakes look good, but you and I both know there's a noise that shouldn't be there. So can you tell me if it's left or right side, or is it just back there?
It's back there, but if I were to guess, I'm going to say it's driver's side.
Okay. Well, here's what I recommend, and you probably need a service shop to do this. I recommend that you remove the drum and put the drum on a lathe and see if the drum is concentric. If it's and if it's out, of course, machine the drum. Even with new drums, doesn't matter. And if that drum is not truly round, then it could cause the shoe, whenever the drum turns, the shoe's going to follow it, so the shoe's going to go forward and backward, forward or up and down. I mean, it's going to move around because the drum's not moving in a round motion. It's moving in an egg-shaped motion. So
that has been suggested to get factory drums, but I bought them at a local
doesn't
store,
matter.
For a cheaper price.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't have to buy the factory. I mean, the same companies that make factory drums or sell them to aftermarket anyway. I mean, Federal Mogul and Wagner and those companies, they make those. They don't make the parts makers for aftermarket parts are generally the same parts makers that supply OEMs. But that's another story, but it's a really interesting one. Now, let's get back to your brakes. What I would do is I would, if I were to inspect it, I would remove both wheels. I would replace the hardware, because that we have started to do that, and I'm almost ashamed to say we started over the last 3 or 4 years. We replaced the hardware as a matter of fact. As a procedure, whenever we do a brake job, and I will tell you, our brake comebacks are just nil. We just don't have we've had one brake comeback in the past 3 years that I know of, and it was because the rear calipers, when we pushed the pistons back, they seized and they stuck, and we had to end up putting calipers on it. And it was just one of those things that happen. But here's the bottom line. I would replace the brake hardware with new hardware. You can find that at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And I would machine the new drums that you have on that vehicle, and I would reassemble all and adjust, and I'll bet you that noise would go away.
I will do that as soon as the Northeast thaws out. I will.
I don't know if you tuned in the first hour, but we had Terry on, the sports director from WNDB in Daytona. And they're running 190 and 200 miles an hour for the ARCA race down there today. He said it was 55 degrees. And so we can, we'll just ride along with Terry there and all the folks at the Daytona International Speedway today. And I guess the best thing for you to do is just stay warm, stay in the house, and stay tuned. You got it?
I got it. Okay. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. Ken.
Yeah, let me know when you get to the other side what truly fixes the automobile. But I'm sure that we got it. Well, folks, it doesn't get any better than that. That's I'm glad to help. I'm glad to help in any way that I can, and I'll help you as well at 888-227-2546. If you have input on any call or caller, then by all means, I'd love to hear your input. I want to share this with you first about the HMX. Royal Purple designed and formulated HMX, high mileage synthetic oil. HMX is for high mileage, and high mileage is threshold 75,000. So anything north of 75,000, let's just categorize that as a high mileage engine. So what we have done at our service shop, and we are transitioning to, is for all of our customers that come in, and by the way, 59% of all of our oil changes are Royal Purple synthetic oil in our Car Clinic Service pre-repair shop. And that stat has held true plus or minus 2 points for 8 years now. Almost 60% of all of our customers use Royal Purple. Why? Because I recommend it and because they have good results. Or the other way around, because they have good results, which is why I recommend it. So what we're going to do now, because the formulation for HMX oil is superior to and a better fit for high mileage engines. So that's what I'm going to be using in all of our north of 75,000 mile customer cars. And for you should consider that as well. There's, as I understand, and I'm not a chemist, but there's extra zinc and phosphorus in that oil. So it truly is a formula, and I know this because Chris Barker is the technical director at Royal Purple, and he's been here face-to-face, and you've answered your questions as well. So we are going to update our service shop to use the HMX high mileage engine oil, and we just had a staff meeting, a team meeting on this about 3 weeks ago, and we're going to be doing that so our customers' cars will run better. I just thought I'd share that with you because it should be. Now, one of the things that I see, we've got Richard Oh, he's got a suggestion for the Honda caller. We have Joe also that's going to be on the call with us. One of the things that we have this weekend is the final of the Chicago Auto Show, which is the nation's largest consumer show. I mean, it's hot off the heels of the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. And Chicago will house some of the hottest new vehicles. It is a cool place that I wish I were right now, and I wish that we were broadcasting from the Chicago Auto Show right now. But when we come back from the break, we're going to hear from Darren Jesse, and he's going to share with us information about the new Chevrolet Volt and maybe some, I'll ask him some questions as we go along. And then I'll take Richard's call, and I see Joe is on the phone. Better mileage with non-alcohol gas. I'm interested in that conversation, so you folks stay right there. We'll come back with Darren Jesse from the Chicago Auto Show. I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Don't touch that dial. Don't let old man winter keep you indoors this season. Let General's Ultimax Arctic make anywhere possible, no matter the weather. The Ultimax Arctic features unique grooves and sipes, maximizing snow, ice, and wet traction in all directions. While its modern compound offers outstanding performance in low temperatures, it's the perfect tire to get you where you need to go this winter. Tweet us photos of your winter adventures at General Tire. Hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
My car's a sauna. What's with this air conditioning?
You need an AC Pro.
Know any?
Yeah, you.
You got me confused with somebody else.
You're a pro with new do-it-yourself AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
But
You know where to find the hood?
That thing up front?
Exactly. AC Pro's easy, fast, and saves you money. You'll have your car's AC blowing cold air in minutes.
I did it! It's like a freezer in here.
Be a pro with new AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
Got a sweater?
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Engine Care Spotlight, brought to you by CRC Industries. Black may be a fashionable color for clothes, but not for your engine's intake valves. Today's gasoline direct injection, GDI, engines increase fuel economy and power by spraying fuel directly into the combustion chamber. But GDI can cause black carbon buildup on engine valves when oil seeps past intake valve guide seals, then sticks, burns, and forms heavy carbon deposits. The result is often restricted airflow, poor vehicle performance, and even drivability issues. Pour-in fuel tank additives can't reach the backs of carboned-up valves, but you can reach them with a new patent-pending CRC intake valve cleaner. CRC intake valve cleaner is delivered through the air intake system to effectively dissolve carbon deposits for improved MPG, increased power, and smoother idle. Keep the color black in your closet and off your intake valves with CRC intake valve cleaner. Find more automotive maintenance solutions at crcindustries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Live from Progressive.
Flo here. Today we're talking to
Newlyweds.
Hi, my husband and I are combining our policies, and my mother-in-law says we can save with Progressive.
Well, with online, homeowners, and multi-car discounts, saving on car insurance is easy.
So you're saying she's right?
I'm saying get used to it.
Get great savings and more at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Mayfield Village, Ohio. Discounts not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Mikey steals the tissue. He breaks right. Now left. Clock says 3 a.m. He shoots the tissue and, off the lamp and into the basket.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
Go to sleep.
Uh-oh. There's a heckler in the crowd.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Give us a call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. Folks, it's the 107th edition. The Chicago Auto Show is the nation's largest consumer show. Hot off the heels of the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Chicago will house some of the hottest new vehicles and automotive technology just revealed and host a number of its own vehicle introductions. Joining us on the line now is Darren Jesse, Product Manager, Chevrolet Volt and Electrified Vehicles. I want to welcome Darren back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house today.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
You know, Darren, in 2016, the next second-generation Chevrolet Volt EV hits the market. What differentiates the next-gen Volt from the first-gen Volt?
Well, the next-gen Volt is all-new exterior styling and interior styling based on the same principles of an extended-range electric vehicle. So besides having an all-new, fresh look, we are also increasing the EV range, going to 50 miles from the current generation of 38. And then the total range also increases because we've improved the fuel efficiency of the range-extending engine. So our total range is now going over 400 miles versus the 380 of today's Volt. That fuel efficiency of the range-extending engine is up to 41 miles per gallon, and it's running on regular fuel. Previous generation only got 37 miles per gallon, which is still really efficient vehicle in its own right, but it was also using premium gas. And so we heard comments and feedback from our customers and our owners to say, hey, can I use regular gas? And we designed the engine for this next generation Volt to do so.
And I understand that this next gen Volt has a 1.5 engine that has 12.5 to 1 compression ratio. Just want to make sure that's correct because I've touted that on air several times. That's a lot of power from top of the piston.
Yes, that is correct. We are increasing the compression ratio to 12.5, and we can do that because we've added a couple of technologies to the engine. Yes, it's increased a little bit in capacity from the previous generation of 1.4 liters, but we've also introduced direct injected gas. So rather than the port fuel injection, the gas is directly injected into the cylinder, and then to keep the air coming in the cylinder cool so that you don't have that pre-ignition with that high compression ratio, we have what's called cooled EGR. So we're taking some of the exhaust gas and putting it back in the piston. We cool it off a little bit. That keeps the air in the cylinder cool so that we don't get any pre-ignition at such a high compression ratio.
That's technology at its best, folks. And Darren, while gas prices are relatively low now, is GM committed to producing electric cars and other alternative fuel vehicles going forward?
Yes, we are. And in fact, we announced that the next generation electric vehicle that General Motors and Chevrolet is going to produce is based off the Chevrolet Bolt EV concept that we showed off in Detroit in January. And so we are committed to going forward with a production electric vehicle targeting about 200 miles of EV range and, hopefully getting to a price point that's affordable for many.
We're talking with Darren Jesse, product manager, Chevrolet Volt and electrified vehicles at General Motors. Darren, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers from an interior standpoint what the inside of the new Volt looks like.
Well, so when we came out with the current generation Volt, we certainly wanted to push the boundaries of technology and of interior design. Our customers enjoyed that. They appreciated that. But as we want to grow the market, we realized we need to go after customers that are probably a little bit less early tech adopters, more of the conventional mainstream. And so we adapted the interior design to be a little more conventional, less intimidating, provide the controls and the knobs and the climate system that you would find in a conventional vehicle. So although it's a gorgeous interior style to be a little bit futuristic, the controls are in the conventional place. People are going to get into the vehicle and they're going to say, hey, I can drive this vehicle. This isn't much different from what I'm driving today. We do offer a few little cues to kind of express this does have a little more technology than your conventional vehicle. 8-inch displays both in the center stack and the gauge cluster, all digital, LCD color. And we do offer push start technology. So rather than turning a key cylinder, you're pushing a button to start the vehicle. That button is blue to kind of signify electric. And then on the shifter, we offered a small little blue cap just to kind of tie into the button to say, hey, anything to control the vehicle is going to be blue, and that just signifies electricity to many.
That makes a lot of sense. Just one last question. What kind of feedback have you gotten from the EV enthusiasts and maybe the current Volt owners?
We've gotten tremendous positive feedback. It's incredible that it seems like we hit the mark straight on. The customers really appreciate the fact that we listened to their feedback. Things that we could improve upon, we did. The things that we kept around, we kept them. And we're hearing from some of those customers who've been on the sidelines thinking, maybe the next turnaround. And when they see this car, they think it's gorgeous. They got to have it.
A couple last questions. One, a website, and also when can we see this vehicle or expect this vehicle on the showroom floor?
We do have the 2016 model year Volt images and lots of video and information on our website, Chevrolet.com/2016-Volt, or just type in Chevrolet Volt. You should be able to get there. And as far as availability, we're looking at the second half of this calendar year for these vehicles to be in the showroom.
Can't wait to drive one. Darren Jesse, Product Manager, Chevrolet Volt and Electrified Vehicles for General Motors. Darren, I'll let you get back to the show. Have a great day, and thanks for sharing information on the new next-gen Volt.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
That was really cool. I mean, it's unbelievable that a 1.5-liter engine that from the high 39 mpg up to 41 mpg with a larger engine. We'll talk a little later about that. I'm really enamored by the fact that they're using 12.5 to 1 compression ratios and EGRs and all of the high tech that actually Ricardo, if you're familiar with Ricardo, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but Ricardo with their campuses, the main campus in Detroit, is a designer of engines and just, I would say, one of the top, if not the top, in the world. Let's go to Joe. Joe, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic from Nebraska. Welcome to. Thank you for holding.
You're welcome, sir. Glad to talk to you. I've listened to you for years and got lots of good tips from you.
Good. What can I do for you today?
Well, I got a 2011 Nissan Versa with the CTV transmission.
Okay.
And I got it brand new, and I drive it back and forth from North Platte, Nebraska to Paola, Kansas, which is south of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the fun of it, I did some control experiments on gasoline.
Okay.
And about 10 times in the last year, I've drove the exact same route, I-80 to 2 to 29, and stop at a station in Olathe, Kansas. And first trip, I used 87 ethanol. Same station here in North Platte.
Okay.
And I used my control speed, 55 mile per hour, with cruise control. I wasn't in any hurry. And I got 39.8 miles a gallon for that trip with the gasohol.
Okay.
Next trip, coming back, I used the 87 alcohol-free and got 46.2. 65 mile an hour the next trip I used the rate. It always averaged about 5.5 miles per gallon better with the non-alcohol, and I was wondering why. I mean, is there some trick that I'm missing? Or same control and about the same driving every time?
No, because here's the bottom line. The octane rating will allow the engine to tune to a higher state. So if they both have the same, are you telling me that the non-alcohol fuel is the same octane as the straight?
Yeah, 87. The way we have to do that, I worked for that station part-time, we mix the 91 alcohol-free,
right,
get to the 87, but they're both 87 ones alcohol or gasohol, one's not.
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, Joe, and I'll tell you why. The fuels that we buy, I mean, virtually all the fuel, 97% of all the gasoline sold in the United States has 10%, up to 10% ethanol. And, of course, there are some has 15%, and then some has 85%. But ethanol is an oxygenant, which means that it's an oxygen-bearing liquid. In fact, a molecule of ethanol contains 35% oxygen. So when you add ethanol to gasoline, you're burning cleaner, and also you're burning leaner. And when I say leaner, that's because the air-fuel ratio with percentage of ethanol has to be adjusted. Now, the car that you're driving, the 2011 vehicle, automatically sets the air-fuel ratio. So I have no idea why that you would get consistently, and I hear your test, and I applaud you for doing the same test over and over again. I would just be curious as to what other possibilities, whatever, would cause the MPG, because you're talking 15%.
Yeah, and it makes it cheaper for me to buy the gasohol free, even though the difference in price, it figures out pretty close the same. But
right.
We have a lot of customers that use the 91, and we have alcohol-free 91 because the motorcycle riders and the old classic car guys
right.
like it.
Well, let me
was wondering, I'm not against ethanol.
Oh no, I don't get that. Oh no, not at all. Here's what I believe, because I've done some extensive study on gasolines and fuels and ethanol as well, because I'm a proponent of ethanol, and that goes back to the 50s, 60s what I used to race alcohol fuel. So that's how I got. One of the reasons that I was actually enamored by the power that my engine made, because of the high octane. Now, having said that, what gas companies do is they create, and I have white papers that I could send to you. The gas companies create 84 octane subpar gasoline when they know that 10% ethanol is going to be added. And when you add 10% ethanol to 84 octane subpar gasoline, you get 87 subpar. You can get 87. It will be, say, 87, but it could still be subpar. Now, how does that work? It has a lot to do with toluene and aromatics that are involved in gasoline. Those are the dirty parts of gasoline in and of itself. But when you add ethanol at 10%, then you increase the octane. So ethanol does two things. It serves two purposes. Number one, it's an octane enhancer. Number two, it burns cleaner. And then, if you heard me speaking just now with the gentleman from General Motors, Darren Jesse, that next-gen Volt, they went from 1.4 liter to 1.5 liter, and they put 12.5 to 1 compression ratio on this engine, which is, I mean, you know, a muscle car Corvette had 11 to 1. We thought that was a big deal. And so here's how they do that. And they run it on regular fuel, which is 10% ethanol. Now, here's how they do that. They're adding a higher percentage of EGR than we're using in current levels.
Right.
And what exhaust gas recirculation does is lower the combustion temperature so that you can have a higher compression ratio without reaching critical mass, because you're lowering the combustion temperature. That's number one. Number two, when you use ethanol with direct injection, you cool the combustion chamber because you're spraying liquid fuel right into the fire, right into the pocket. So all that together is the reason for that. As far as your gas mileage goes, I really don't have an answer for that, but keep checking and keep that with me. Don't go away. I'll be back. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. Be sure the next time your car needs a new battery, you choose one with PowerFrame grid technology. It's not only 66% more durable than other grid designs, it's manufactured with the latest, most sustainable processes. Look for PowerFrame on the outside for true strength on the inside. To find a retailer near you, visit PowerFrame.com. That's PowerFrame.com. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Drive Smarter tip, brought to you by Escort, the world's best radar and laser detectors. For best road trip MPG, do you roll your windows down or use AC? Based on aerodynamics, a slick car with windows up offers less resistance and glides through air more easily, using less gas at highway speeds, even with the AC on. This Drive Smarter tip is brought to you by Escort's Passport Max, the first and only all-digital detector with HD radar performance. Don't just drive, drive smarter. Escort.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another great place to use Visa.
Is there anything more satisfying than watching a snowflake fall, gently carried by a delicate breeze to the welcoming earth, and then thrashing it on a ripping snowmobile? If you want to have fun in the snow, make tracks to Unicorn Expeditions in Lake Parlin, Maine, where the cabins are as cozy as the trails are smooth. But if you want to buzz the powder, you better bring your Visa card, because at Unicorn Expeditions, they take kindly to sled heads, but they don't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
So, how about you and I getting together?
I don't know. I have to get up early.
Mom, I'm on the phone!
Oh, sorry, dear. You live at home?
Looking for a home? Click on to Realtor.com and search over 1.3 million current home listings. Plus, you can find useful information on schools, financing, even take virtual tours. And when you're ready, you can click and connect with a Realtor.
Hello? Are you still there?
Yes, dear, I'm right here.
Realtor.com. It's the place to start when you start looking for a home.
Hello once again, and welcome to How Stupid Can You Be? The show where folks tell us all about the outrageously stupid things they've done. Please join me in welcoming today's guest, Sarah. Now, Sarah, you're 23 years old, and you recently did something really stupid, didn't you?
Yes, I bought alcohol for my younger brother and his friends.
Wow, she bought alcohol for minors. That's one of the stupidest things anyone could ever do. Am I right, audience?
Of course I got caught, arrested, charged with a felony, and I could get up to 6 months in jail.
You tried to buy alcohol for minors, and all you got was trouble. That's all for now, folks. Coming up next, a man who performed his own root canal at home. How stupid is that?
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. Underage drinking. It's arresting behavior.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546 is the number. Miss Kim will take your call and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. I mentioned earlier in the program the midlife crisis car. Less crisis, more celebration than anything else. Oh, and by the way, happy Valentine's Day. I'm glad that you tuned in today. And just remember, every Saturday from 10 to noon right here, yours truly will be your personal car consultant. And I'll share with you information that will, I'll give you buzzwords. I'll help you to better communicate with your local service shop. Why is that important? Well, because that's where you got to spend your dollars, and that's where you have to communicate when you get your car repaired. Or, in the case of our shop, pre-repaired. We created our own prevention of repair program. I won't get into that, but I will share this midlife crisis, which I think is really neat information. For many, the words midlife crisis car immediately bring to mind a flashy red and sporty. And CarMax published a survey on midlife crisis car trends, and the results are surprising. Sedans and SUVs are gaining in popularity, and red isn't the only showstopper, no matter what the 80 movies told us. Today's midlife crisis doesn't have to be red. In fact, here's what the most popular color for the respondents' hypothetical midlife crisis car: black, 20%. With silver gray at 19%, blue at 17%, and then finally, yes, red came in at a close 17%, just behind the blue, and then yellow came in at the bottom of the list with just 2%. Sports cars for him, SUVs for her. And here's another interesting revelation. The South, most likely to buy the midlife car. According to the survey, respondents and residents of the South are most likely to purchase a midlife crisis car, with more than 30% of respondents indicating that they were very or somewhat likely to buy one. Midwesterners were the least likely to spring for a midlife crisis car overall, with 80% of respondents saying they were not likely or not at all likely to buy a midlife crisis car. So there you have it. What say ye? Were you going to buy a car? We'll take a call from New York. Steve, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Let me turn the radio off. There we go.
Okay.
That's better.
Thank you, sir. Glad to have you join us today. What can I do for you?
Well, I have a 2014 Hyundai Santa Fe Turbo, four-cylinder.
Got it.
And I've listened to your program for the last year or so, but at any rate, nobody in this area seems to carry it other than the car parts stores. So, but when I went to get an oil change, and I asked the dealer that I bought the car from if they could give me an oil change using Royal Purple, they said, well, they have their own product, and basically, they just ignored the question. So I found another dealer who I've used in the past, and they also did not carry Royal Purple. However, they did offer to investigate and called me back and says, yes, we can do it. So I got my oil change yesterday. But being new to the usage, they weren't really sure of the how often I should get the oil changed. They did recommend the filter change, which they did do. And so what I need to know is how often should I have my oil changed with the Royal Purple?
That depends on your driving habits. And for your information, officially, Royal Purple has its annual 12,000-mile or annual oil change pledge, and you can go to royalpurpleconsumer.com.
Okay.
Or you can just Google Royal Purple. It's easy to do. But the bottom line is you will see that their pledge in writing explains how and why you can go 12,000 miles or a year. Now, how many miles would you say you drive this vehicle or will drive this vehicle a year?
Will drive? Well, you see, I'm a retired salesman, so I used to drive 40, 50,000 a year, but now I'm probably closer, I would say maybe 20.
You know what I would feel comfortable. Number one, I applaud you for going with the Royal Purple, and it has properties. The Cinelec technology and the film strength is critical, especially for your super or your turbocharged engine. So I would go and feel comfortable with you going 10,000 miles and changing the oil and filter every 10,000 miles.
Okay.
Having said that, in my own service facility, we created a top-off where we had our Royal Purple customers coming back, and I would change the filter at 5,000 miles, and then I would top off the crankcase. And so I hesitate to bring this up, but because it's the truth, we actually are pulling away from that program, and here's why. Many of our customers would end up going 10,000 miles or 7,500 miles on a top-off, in addition to the first 5,000 miles, because they it became confusing, I guess.
Yeah.
Was, we have the records, and so we put in a practice that, okay, if someone comes in and they have more than 5,500, we had to draw a line somewhere, so we put a 500-mile tolerance there. If they have more than 5,500 miles since we've changed the oil and the filter, at all, I mean the whole batch, then we're not going to do a top-off. We're going to do a complete oil and filter change. So it became obviously confusing for some, and so our practice now is to follow, it's the safe thing for me to say is to follow manufacturer specifications, but I don't do that with my car. I don't follow the specification because they say 13,000 miles, and I disagree with that. So I would share with you that 10,000 miles, you would have absolutely no problems with this vehicle whatsoever. And I'm surprised that you got the dealer to buy Royal Purple, and I'll bet you as soon as other people learn that dealership has Royal Purple, they too will come in and get their engines upgraded to Royal Purple. It's fantastic stuff.
Well, now the my manual specifies at 7,500 for an oil change.
Well, there you
routinely.
Go. There's your. That's what I would follow, the manual. That way, you can never go wrong. And if you have any problem, and it oil related or not, you still have to follow the manufacturer's recommendations in order to stay under the manufacturer's warranty.
Okay.
So there's the solid answer. When I start to say safe answer, but it's not safe. It's what they recommend, and there's a reason that they recommend that, and that's to do with the temperature and the high performance output. I'm telling you that I bet that car really runs well.
And that would be the oil and the filter every time.
Absolutely. You just do it, and that way it's not about the first 7,500 miles or 10,000. I mean, Porsche says 15,000 miles. And that's fine for the first batch. But every time, and understand this, then I'm going to go to Ray. So, Ray, you stay right there, and I'll take your call. Every time you change oil and filter in an engine, you leave old oil in the lifters and in the valleys and somewhere in other regions of the engine.
Okay.
That old oil has dirt and fuel and other debris in it. It contaminates the new batch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go 15,000 miles on an oil change, like Porsche recommends, and you change the oil, you contaminate that batch of oil, which shortens the life of that batch of oil. Now, fast forward to 30,000 miles where you go to the second batch. The second batch of oil is even more contaminated because it didn't start life in a brand new engine, its predecessor. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So as you go along, every time you change oil and filter, you shorten the life of the new oil, and the longer you go, the dirtier the contamination, because you can't get all the old oil out of an engine. I mean, I'm so anal about my oil that I run mine through a 5-micron. I run my engine once a year through a 5-micron filter, the old oil, so that I don't contaminate the new oil. And that's a little bit overboard, but I practice what I.
But that's what you do.
That's what I do, yes. It is what I do. And I've got the machinery and the tools and equipment to do that. And you can't drive the car with a 5-micron filter. It only idles because, at the beta pressure there, you're losing from 45 PSI down to about 12 PSI at an idle because you're choking the oil because see the toxins, the free-range debris that causes polish wear, gosh, too technical, is 10 to 15 micron, and your filter on your vehicle is 25 micron and up. So all engines have what's called polish wear because you cannot put a filter on an engine that would get all of the debris out because you'd starve the engine for oil flow. So it's a compromise. That's why that's why the information is always so important, because you need to understand why you can't get all that stuff out, because if you had something in there that would filter it out, you couldn't flow enough oil. So anyway, you got it? You make sense?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the information.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Stay with the manual.
Thank you, Steve.
And this way, it'll be a little fresher oil.
Absolutely.
More so than the 10,000.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
I appreciate your confidence in my help. 888-227-2546. Ray, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir. And you?
Fine, thank you. Love your show. I have a quick question for you. We had to tow a box truck, about 26,000 pound box truck, diesel, and when they wanted to tow it, they had to disconnect the drive shaft.
Yes, sir.
They said if they don't, it will damage it, but they didn't say what it would get damaged. And I was wondering if you can tell me what could happen if they don't disconnect the drive shaft and tow it.
Now that's an automatic transmission.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The automatic transmission has no rear pump. The oil pump that drives the transmission and makes the torque converter go and makes the clutches engage is driven by the flywheel. The flywheel drives the converter, and the converter drives the front pump. They call it a front pump, but it's the only pump in that transmission. So when the engine is off, there's no lubricant circulating through your transmission. There is only what happens to be left on the yoke and the output shaft from the last time it was cranked and run. Therefore, if you tow a vehicle over an extended period of time, you're turning that shaft inside a bushing, and you're turning another shaft inside the transmission because it's all connected without proper lubrication, because the lubrication was only what splashed on it the last time it was run. Having said that, if you were to stop every 25 miles and crank it up, and circulate oil, you could get by with it. But no one's ever done that, nor would I ever recommend that. So what do? You do what's the safest. You disconnect the drive shaft. Now, here's a challenge. What do you do? How do you plug the transmission when you pull the drive shaft out? You got to have something to push you in the hole. So you should buy, for towing purposes, a yoke. And you can get one at a junkyard. You can get one that's worn out. You can get one from a clutch company. There's got to be in your area a clutch and brake company, and they have a yoke. And you pull your drive shaft out, and then you push this yoke into the back of the transmission. You don't have to secure it. It'll stay right there once you push it all the way in, because there's no reason for it to come out. So that will stop any dirt from getting into the transmission, and it will stop any oil from getting out of the back of the transmission. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You too. Happy Valentine's.
The same to you. Thank you.
That's right, folks. Today is Valentine's. Earlier in the program, you may have heard the power frame, and I've talked about power frame batteries. But just so you'll know why the positive grid is so important for batteries, and how the power frame grid technology helps in that respect. The positive grid, folks, provides the energy to start your car. The most common end-of-life failure mode of automotive batteries is corrosion of the positive grids. The power frame grid technology is actually structurally stronger, and its robust design minimizes corrosion and likely premature failure. So that's why I endorse and I use in my service shop the power frame battery. For a comparison between a conventional battery and a power frame grid technology battery, you should go to powerframe.com. Also, you will see a comparison there of a test report that is most interesting. And if you can imagine a cobweb and call that a grid, and imagine running into it in the nighttime and destroying it, that's what 15 or 18,000 miles, the differential between a healthy power frame grid and a standard conventional power frame grid for this test. Take a look for yourself. It's really over the top. It's a fantastic battery, and it's worth every cent of investment when you want your car to start when you want it to start, and that's every time. Powerframe, powerframe.com, 888-227-2546. Hey, Facebook.com/Bobby Likis, Twitter.com, Pinterest, and at Bobby Likis on Instagram. Put me in your book and like us there. And also, come back to see us next Saturday from 10 till noon, right here from the center of the automotive universe. Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Again, happy Valentine to you and your family. Like us, you'll love us. Bye-bye.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Myth is that ethanol production dramatically increases the price of corn and food. Fact is that experts from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the World Bank, academia, non-governmental organizations, and independent consultants like Informa Economics all note that a complex and interrelated range of factors influence food prices, including supply chain costs, commodity speculation, weather, monetary policies, and oil prices. The fact remains that no statistical evidence exists demonstrating a significant link between ethanol, corn prices, and rising food costs. And according to the USDA, American farmers receive just 12.6 cents of every dollar spent on food. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Driving a cab in this town can drive you nuts. It's like hurry up and wait. Last week, I'm stuck behind a bus on Broadway when that pastrami on ride catches up with me. Ooh, heartburn big time. Guy in the back seat says, "Here, take a Zantac 75. I say, "What are you, a doctor?" And he says, "Yeah."
Zantac 75 relieves heartburn anywhere, anytime.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
Sweetie, this wedding reception will need an elegant dessert.
What do you think about the caramel flan?
Darling, I think it'd be perfect, but please, dear, it's caramel flan.
Mother, I really think it's caramel.
It's caramel.
A lot of people call it caramel.
Yes, if you keep a sofa on your porch like your fiancé. We might as well serve kamikaze shots.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
That makes a Milky Way great.